All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. We're gonna do kind of a continuation of the Kobe Bryant stuff. One, because it's fitting. Two, because I'm still injured and having a little more wine. And most importantly, because my boy is it's about to be his birthday in just what, 2.5 hours from now. And his favorite player of all time is Mr. Bryant himself. So let's do some motivational stuff because this is actually the stuff that got me really into Kobe was his speeches and his interviews. So let's see what this is. Honestly, I started watching the first minute or so, and I've never seen this before. Like it was starting to blow my mind. And I just paused it and stopped. And here we are right now. So, all right, everybody. Let's see what this is all about. Thanks for watching. Happy birthday to my boy. You know who you are. And I'll see you in a couple days, brother. Here we go.
I had a purpose. I wanted to be one of the best basketball players to ever play. And anything else that was outside of that lane, I didn't have time for.
There's a quote from one of my English teachers at Lower Merion named Mr. Fisk. He had a great quote that said, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And that's something I always live by. I'm not going to rest. I'm going to keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time.
At what age did that goal become crystal clear?
I made that deal with myself at 13 years old.
At 13?
And it sounds crazy, but from the age of 5, I wanted to, I wanted to be in the NBA. I wanted to be pro. I had all those aspirations, but what Kobe did, man, not even close. I didn't even come even close. That work ethic. I was out there playing hours and hours every day, but he was more focused.
13 years
13
old.
years old. That's the
You
deal
were
I
crystal
made.
clear about it.
Crystal clear.
And where did inspiration come from?
The love of the game. The love of the game. The challenge. Like I would watch Magic play. I'd watch Michael play. And I would see them do these unbelievable things. And I'd say, can I get to that level? I don't know, but let's find out. Let's find out. And so that curiosity to see where I could push this thing led me down that path, I think.
I had a summer where I played basketball when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And here I come playing and I don't score 1 point the entire summer. Not a free throw, nothing, not a lucky shot, not a breakaway layup, 0 points. And I remember crying about it and being upset about it. And my father just gave me a hug and said, "Listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm gonna love you no matter what."
See, that's huge, man. That level of unconditional love, that's rare, especially to give to a son. Us guys were supposed to be tough and yada yada, cancel me if you want. It's the generation I come from where we have that pressure to be fucking tough all the time. And dude, if I would have scored 0 points in a game, like, I mean, I would have heard about it. My brother, my dad, like they would have ripped me a new one. But that's not what I needed. That level of pressure was not good, because the work ethic was there. It didn't matter. So like Kobe, he's got his work ethic. You don't have to shame his ass. So that level of unconditional love from his dad, that's really cool to hear. Like, I'm gonna love you no matter what. Score 60, score 0, I don't care. You know, he's just supporting his boy because if his boy wants to play basketball, then and he wants to be great, he'll be great.
Wow. Now that is the most important thing that you can say to a child. Because from there, I was like, okay, that gives me all the confidence in the world to fail. I have the security there. But to hell with that, I'm scoring 60. And from there, I just went to work. And I stayed with it. I kept practicing, kept practicing, kept practicing. I think that's when the idea of understanding a long-term view became important. Because I wasn't going to catch these kids in a week. I wasn't going to catch them in a year, right? So that's when I sat down and said, okay, this is going to take some thought, right? What do I want to work on first? All right, shooting. All right, let's knock this out. Let's focus on this. Half a year, 6 months, do nothing but shoot. Right after that, all right, creating your own shot, and you focus. So I started creating a menu of things. When I came back the next summer, I was a little bit better. I scored.
Yeah,
it wasn't much,
right.
but I scored.
See, that's a difference between what Kobe actually did and what, most people just wanted. We wanted to be Jordan. But look at this guy. He literally made it's almost like a business. He made a game plan for himself. Follow this structure, and you'll be one of the greatest of all time. Look what he did. It's different with you know, the Jordan era, and now we've inherited the Kobe era. It was different than the Steph era, the Steph Curry era, because that meant like anybody like 5 foot could go out there and chuck threes from God knows where, and they had hope that they could be like the next Curry. But most of them have no idea the work ethic that Steph Curry has and why he just hit a game winner and busted my Suns tonight, man. That hurt. I literally just watched that before I started this. Suns versus Warriors. Steph Curry game winning shot from fucking like 5 feet beyond the 3 point line. Catches it, turns around, chucks it. I mean, looks like a terrible shot, but he practices this stuff all day. But anyways, the point is to be like Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant. Like, first of all, you needed height. Then you needed the build. You needed jumping skills. Like all these things that would immediately knock you off the list, no matter how hard you worked. And then you had to put in the work. And that's where Kobe, dude, he was 6'6" even, like right on the freaking money with Jordan. And then he put in the work to emulate him. Amazing.
12, 13.
12, 13. And then 14 came around, back half of 13, 14 years old, and then I was just killing everyone. And it happened in 2 years. And I wasn't expecting it to happen in 2 years,
right?
but it did, because what I had to do was work on the basics and the fundamentals. Well, they relied on their athleticism and their natural ability.
Right.
And because I stick to the fundamentals, it just caught up to them. And
Yeah.
then my body, my knees stopped hurting. I grew into my frame, and then it was game over.
Wow.
See, that's cool because from when I was 5 years old playing all the way till when I stopped, I was always better than everybody. And that was actually a really bad. I'm hearing, the more I see the history of like what Jordan went through, and now I'm hearing what Kobe went through. It's not a good thing to start out the best because you get complacent and you start relying on your natural gifts. Because let's be fair, at those ages, I was naturally more gifted than everybody, and all I had to do was work harder, and I was fine. But then what would have happened at like the pro level? Because all of a sudden, if I don't have that work ethic, because I'm not that hungry, I'm used to being the best. I don't think I could have excelled. But a guy like Kobe coming down as the underdog, knowing he has to catch up, if he always has that attitude, and it sounds like he did with his trainers and his teams, his players, he always had that attitude of I got to catch up. I got to catch up, even though he was the best in the world for so many years. It's it's all mentality, Mamba mentality, man. Shit. Happy birthday to my boy.
Were you always competitive from the day you were born? You were super competitive?
Competitive with things that I participate in. So I'll put it to you this way. So basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Oh, for sure.
So at 13 years old, I had I had a kill list. And so, they used to do these rankings. It was Street and Smith basketball rankings. And I was nowhere to be found because I was like 6'4", scrawny, like 160 pounds soaking wet. So I was like 57 on the list. And so I would look at 56, 55, all the way up to number 1, who these players are, what club teams they played for. So when we go on an AAU travel circuit, I got to hunt them down. Right? And so that became my mission in high school.
It's freaking kill list.
Check off every other person all those 56 other names, hunt them down and knock them down. So when we played at 13, I would size you up and see what your strengths and weaknesses are. How do you approach the game? Are you silly about it? Are you goofy about it? Are you good at it just because you're bigger and stronger than everybody else? Right? Or is there actually thought and skill that you put into it? Right? And when I'd play to my weaknesses. I always work on the things during those games that I was weak at. Left hand.
That's shocking. My favorite musician, his name is Steve Vai, the God's gift to guitar, and he actually says the opposite. He says practice is for practice. Practice all of your weaknesses. Don't practice your strengths. Your strengths are there. But he said when it comes to the show, focus on your strengths. And he basically says like eventually your weaknesses, if you do your job in practice, will become your strengths. And then as you're performing, you have more of a bag of strengths to go to. But Kobe's saying the opposite, which is crazy because they're both very freaking successful at their craft. So Kobe's saying even in game, he'd be practicing his weaknesses. Damn.
Right? And when I'd play to my weaknesses. I always work on the things during those games that I was weak at.
Crazy.
Left hand, pull up jump shot, post game. Right? So I have a strategy.
What was really your work ethic like, and for how long did you stay?
That just blows my mind. I can kind of see it now, though. He did. Y'all remember when he played a game left-handed? He was taking point. He was shooting threes, and I've never seen that other than Larry Bird just switch hands. Bird did it because he just was bored, but Kobe Kobe actually had a reason for doing it. But he didn't care. He didn't stop shooting, even though that was a major weakness.
Discipline.
Well, I mean, every day. I mean, since 20 years. I mean, it was an everyday process and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses. For example, jumping ability. Now, my vertical was a 40, it wasn't a 46 or a 45. My hands are big, but they're not massive, right? So you got to figure out ways to strengthen them so your hands are strong enough to be able to palm a ball and do the things that you need to do.
All right, how many of you all, I don't care what age you are, have spent hours and hours and hours of your life trying to palm that basketball and hoping that while with it, your fingers are getting stronger, your hand is getting stronger, and it's growing. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Hit me up in the comments on that one. B, birthday boy, I know you know what I'm talking about. You know, just fucking grow fingers.
Quickness, I was quick, but not insanely quick. I was fast, but not ridiculously fast, right? So I had to rely on skill a lot more. I had to rely on angles a lot more. I had to study the game a lot more.
Yeah, he never had that first step like Jordan did. He really didn't, no matter how young he was. He didn't have that quick first step. I mean, obviously, Jordan, when he was older, and a lot of you guys are probably used to that. But look at 80s Jordan. He would just go whoop and leap. And all of a sudden, he's like 5 feet in front of you, just in a split second.
And but I enjoyed it though. So like from the time I can remember when I started watching the game, I studied the game, and it just never changed.
What does losing feel like to you?
It's exciting
Why is it exciting?
because it means you have different ways to get better. There's certain things that you can figure out that you can take advantage of, right? Certain weaknesses that were exposed.
Everyone is so afraid of failure, but that's where we learn the most important freaking lessons. Jordan has a quote on it too, but I mean, I knew this. Jordan had a quote on it. But if we're always trying to keep a polished image and we're never willing to make a mistake, then we will never learn a damn thing. And we'll start believing that we're always right. So it's important to make mistakes. But it's also important to be able to reflect on those mistakes and learn from them. So, and that's where the Jordan quote comes in. He was like, Why do I succeed?" And it was like, "Because I failed." And he lists all the failures in his life. And it was like, because of all those failures, I wasn't scared to succeed. It's cool.
that you need to shore up, right? So it was exciting. I mean, it sucks to lose,
Right.
but the hardest thing is to face that stuff. That's a really, really tough challenge.
How did you get mentally and emotionally so strong where it doesn't bother you?
Well, you got to look at the reality of the situation. Like for me, it's not, you kind of got to get over yourself, right? And then after that, it's okay, well, why did those air balls happen?
There's that whole mentality of being able to laugh at yourself. You know, I've done some stupid shit, and at the end of the day, I just laugh at it. It's the way it is. What it is. You can't take shit so serious. Just learn from your mistake and move on.
Got it. I didn't have the legs. So you look at the shot, every shot was online. Every shot was online, but every shot was short.
Just like Jordan when he came out of retirement the first time, and the Orlando Magic eliminated the Bulls. Same idea. He didn't have the legs. He wasn't ready for it, and Kobe wasn't ready for this. Um, when he shot those air balls, he won mentally. He was, but physically he wasn't there yet.
Right? I got to get stronger. I got to
Yep.
train differently. The weight training program that I'm doing, I got to tailor it for an 82 game season so that when the playoffs come around, my legs are stronger and that ball gets there. So I look at it with rationale and say, okay, well, the reason why I shot air balls is because my legs aren't there. I go, well, next year they'll be there.
Right?
Have to do the hard
Work
stuff
towards it.
and watch that game and study that game to not make those mistakes over and over again just because you weren't brave enough to face it. So you got to deal with
Face
it.
it.
Got to deal with it. Face it, learn from it. You don't want to have that feeling again, do you? Right? So you got to really study it, face it. And not to say you'll win the next time you face it, but at least you'll give yourself a better chance.
Yeah.
It's an obsessiveness that comes along with it. You want things to be as perfect as they can be, understanding that nothing is ever perfect. But the challenge is try to get them as perfect as they can be. And what can you do? It's in your control.
What is in your
So
control?
control what you can.
Yeah.
You have this mindset, but how did you develop that? I don't know if that's what you call the Mamba mindset, but how did you develop that?
Mama mentality, by the way, motherfucker. Get it right.
And
Well,
when did it start?
It started in middle school and high school. Because a lot of the kids that I was playing against were inner city kids. And so they're looking at me as if, okay, this kid's soft. They felt like they could try to be physical or
Yeah,
try to intimidate me and do
foreigner.
all this other stuff, which they couldn't, right? But now I'm saying, okay, well, you're trying to attack me. How am I going to attack you? How can I mentally figure out ways to break you down? How can I show you that, no, I have the edge, right? And so that's when it first started for me, is figuring out how to get the upper hand on an opponent that way.
And that gave him an advantage because he walked into the situation and everyone was underestimating him. Little did they know they were giving him an advantage, but they were. He came in as the underdog, and little did they know that fucking guy was a killer.
And what would you do to mentally break people down then?
One of the things I would do is while everybody would be at the cafeteria eating and doing all sort of stuff, I just go
Yeah,
back
he's
to the gym.
training.
And so that was my way.
That's something he did even in the Olympics as an old man. And he would do that practices and everything. There's so many stories about him making a point while everybody else is out chilling, relaxing, partying. He's at the gym. He's at the fucking gym, and he makes sure that they see him. It's crazy.
Way of showing them.
That's one point he was beyond anybody else I've ever known. And his trainer, the same trainer that trained Jordan, I can't remember his name. He say this. That was the difference between Jordan and Kobe was Kobe obsessively worked out to the point it was a physical detriment. That's how he got hurt because he just wouldn't slow down. But that's also how he became so freaking great because he didn't stop training.
Yeah, I may be from the suburbs, but you're not going to outwork me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of players take vacations with other.
Hey, anybody in any field of any work, that line is important. Where is it? Ain't nobody gonna outwork me. There it is. You're not gonna outwork me. Whatever you're doing for a living, if you follow that mentality, and this is more coming from Kobe, not from me, but I mean for me too. It's proven itself. If you go into a building and you say to yourself, I'm going to be the best motherfucker here or die trying, and nobody's going to outwork me, you're going to succeed and you're going to be respected. Even if you're not the best motherfucker in the building, everybody will see. They'll see what you're doing.
Wow.
Like I see a lot of players take vacations with other players that are close friends.
Banana
And
boat.
or just take vacations just to take vacations or just hang out just to hang out. Like I'm not, I never did that.
Hey, I do that shit, Kobe, though. It's a huge part of life.
But it was a
Why not
choice.
though? Why didn't you do that?
Well, because when I retire, I didn't want to have to say, I wish I would have done more. I don't want that.
Fair.
I've played games.
Fair. I shot away a lot of years. And I don't want to say shot away because those were great years of my life. But I understand. I didn't have NBA greatest of all time focus that he did. Um, I stopped that at around 16, 17, right around there. Stopped having that mentality, but he never stopped. And he was actually like flying that close to the sun. So I get it. I get it. He didn't have time for friends. He didn't have time for fun. No recreation. I really didn't do much of that until, I hit those years. Midway through high school, I wanted to have some fun. I never had fun up until that point. So my 20s, I was having fun too. But those are some of my best moments too. But I do, in hindsight, go back and wonder, had I not done that, because, I might have like one friend left from that whole era. Um, so you got to wonder in your 20s, is it worth it? In the moment, hell yeah. In the long term, that's a hell of a question. Any old dogs in the chat? B, birthday boy, you're a lot younger, but these are questions to ask yourself, you know? And I'm sure the people in the comments will support it. When you get to a certain age, you look back and go like, huh, should I have been hanging out all those times with this jackass over here that I knew wasn't, didn't have my back? That's how I think of it.
With the flu. I played games with 102-degree fever, man. We had a game against Toronto
Yeah.
in 2000, and Vince was tearing the league up. My back was jacked. So I would be in the layup line like, okay, there's a lot of days where you can rest and recover. Today ain't one of them. Your back can bother you any other day. That ain't bothering me today. He gonna have to see me today.
It's a mind over matter.
You're playing against the Golden State Warriors. Score is 107-109. You guys are close to getting into the playoffs. You know exactly what happens in the game. You go up, you're about to take your shot, and then all of a sudden, boom, Achilles happens, right? Friend of mine, Nima, he is here just to listen to. He played ball. And he told me, he says, Patrick, I don't think you understand. He says, when I tore my Achilles in high school, he says, 4 friends of mine dragged me to my hospital. I was crying from there straight to the hospital. He says, I have no clue how the hell this guy did it.
Okay, I know I've talked about it, but I'm just going to support this because in high school I probably would have been okay, a little better at it. But having a torn calf muscle is very similar to an Achilles tear. I didn't know this until I've suffered a major calf tear, and I could say the same thing for the next like 7 days from that injury. It's that feeling. I can't move. I can't get anywhere, So this kid crying about it and being like carried by his boys. I kind of get it because at the initial point of the tear, BV, both of you, if you guys are watching, you'll remember, you carried me off the court. I didn't want to ask for it, but you guys fucking did it. Thank you, because I had never experienced that before. I literally couldn't walk anymore. It was so crazy. Like it was not going to get better. It was just rapidly getting worse. How the hell I drove home with the right leg? I don't even know, you guys. But anyways, to support it, Kobe coming back after an Achilles tear like that, like I respect the hell out of him because he was already getting old. What was he like 35, something like that? So a lot of people would have just called it quits and retired. Um, all I'm saying is anybody who had an Achilles tear, they're not exaggerating. It's terrible, you know. If a calf tear can bring me down for 3 weeks and counting, damn.
He went and hit the free throws, and then you walked off the stage. How the hell?
Yeah, I forgot the whole point of that was I still can't believe Kobe walked himself off the court. Like, what the hell was that? How do you do it? That was the whole point. And I just, alcohol and I started rambling. I forgot the point. Kobe walked himself not just off the court. Before he went off the court, walked himself to the free throw line, knocked down his free throws, and then walked himself off the court. Sick. He's sick. He's crazy. Show no weakness to a whole nother level.
How do you tolerate that kind of pain?
You know, I use this. I tell this example, and I think this is the best way to explain it. You know, you have a hamstring injury, you pull your hamstring really, really badly.
I've had a hammy.
You can barely walk, right? Let alone play anything. You're
Right.
at home, all of a sudden a fire breaks out in the home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your kids are upstairs.
You can do it.
Wife is wherever she may be, going down. I'm willing to bet that you're going to forget about your hamstring. You're going to sprint upstairs. You're going to grab your kids. Make sure your wife's good. You're getting out of that house.
Hell yeah.
And the reason is because the lives of your family are more important than the injury of your hamstring.
And I'll support this as well. The first 7 days of my injury, I didn't want to face it. I was still doing things not for myself. That's the funny thing. When it was just for myself, I would treat myself right, like a real injured person. But when it came to doing stuff for other people in those 7 days, man, I did things that I look back and I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? I was actually hurting myself worse, you know? But yeah, you have that whole other level, you know? If I was in an emergency situation right now, could I run? No. Could I walk very fucking fast and get the hell out of somewhere? Hell yeah. I could probably lift somebody on the way out. It would hurt like hell and I'd probably re-tear my muscle and all that stuff. But if I had to, what's inside? Hell yeah.
And so when the game is more important than the injury itself, you don't feel that injury. Not
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
Went in the trainer's room, my kids are in there, and they're looking at you and stuff, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, it's all right. Dad's gonna be all right. It'll be fine. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. As a parent, you gotta set the example. You gotta set the example. This is another obstacle. This obstacle cannot define me. It's not gonna cripple me. It's not gonna be responsible for me stepping away for the game that I love. I'm gonna step away on my own terms.
Right.
And that's when the decision was made that, you know what, I'm doing it. You got to lead by example.
Guys in chat, how old was he when he tore his Achilles?
As parents, you got to lead by example. If you want your kids to do whatever it is they want to accomplish in life, you have to show them. You got to show them.
The definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. I think that's what greatness is or should be. It's not something that lives and dies with one person.
Wow.
It's how can you inspire a
Yeah.
person to then in turn inspire another person that then
Yes, sir.
inspires another person.
That's the whole that's the whole point. The older I get, the more I see that's the point of life. We got all these little things we want to accomplish and all this stuff. you know. But what's really like what can you do in life is to leave it a better place than you found it. And if that means passing on information to somebody and then they pass that information on to somebody else, and it's affecting their lives in a positive way. I think that's kind of the meaning of life. And boys, I'm thinking of you, pass that shit on.
And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Yeah, man, that was that was an emotional video. Um,
Their natural ability.
okay. I'm gonna not link this because I've had some drinks. So here you go. Give some love. I'm starting to think about doing these Kobe videos once in a while when I'm drunk and just keeping the tribute going. Not sure, but I'm kind of tempted to do it. So anyways, this was dedicated to my friend B. Happy birthday to you. 2 more hours and it's your birthday. Kobe's your favorite. I wonder if you've ever seen these. I wonder if you've ever seen these interviews, because this is the Kobe that is passing on information as an old man. You know, it's Kobe you can fucking learn off of. All right. Well, I'm gonna shut this one down, post it. It's 10 p.m. my time. But screw it. Happy birthday to my friend. And to B and V, I'll see you guys in a couple days. We're gonna celebrate in style. And all of the people who are watching my channel, thank you very much. Let's keep celebrating Kobe. Mainstream media wants to forget him. Let's not let that happen. All right.